So today is the day 2 of our video marketing workshop. It's a continuation of the professional live streaming setup. We're going to continue our setup for professional live streaming on OBS. We have gotten in our sound. As I told you yesterday, to get in the camera, or after you have created the scene, you go to the sources, you click this plus button. You have different ways you can put any source, and you can have more than one source in a scene. You can have more than one source. Like right now, I have the audio and the video. This is a unique way of putting video and audio together. But this is not the best way if you are doing an audio that you have to use in the entire system. I think before the end of this class, I will show you how to bring in one audio that will be able to interface with all your scenes. But let's see. Now, if I want to add another session, maybe a browser source or something. Like if I want to add something else, maybe I want to add the screen, my desktop, like the setup we have here right now. Like right here now, we have another laptop doing the streaming to Zoom and Facebook, but we have shut down Facebook, and also recording. So this one is more like a presentation system. Now I want to bring in another scene so that if I want the video you are seeing right now, right now on your screen to be what I want my audience to see, I'll select that scene. If I want my video to be the presentation, like the way he's switching, I switch between the two. Let me see. See the way he's switching between the two. He's switching between two scenes. So the way you can do it now is very simple. I'm going to create a new scene again. I'm going to call it maybe presentation or anything you can call it, doesn't matter. As presentation is up, you know that it will turn blank. No, there's another thing I didn't mention. Like what you are seeing right here, we have the preview and the program. What is in the preview is what you see. Like we are in the studio mode now. So if you're in the studio mode, you see before you show to other people. So what I want to say is that if anything that is in the preview, nobody is seeing. The only thing anybody, whether they are streaming, they are watching you online, or you are presenting it to anywhere, maybe on TV or anything. This is the one that we see, the program view, which is this one. If you are watching look at my mouse. This is the program view. This is what they will see. So I will click this button, go to browser. I'll open the browser. I'll select the browser. So I can rename it if I like. I can OK it. If I OK it will pop up this window. So what I'll just do right now is to change the width. The width and the height is the resolution of your screen. How do you know the resolution of your screen? I'll give you some resolution of different scale, but they'll be on a safer form. You can type the width to be 1280 by 720. With this, you'll be safe because it's HD. Then you can clean all the custom CSS. Everything is the same, but the only thing we are going to change later is our URL. So you discover that the scene is not what we just created. It's not completely fill the screen because the canvas size, the resolution of the screen I'm using is 16 by 900. So and we did 1280 by 720. It's a little math, but trust me, you need to know this. You really need to know this. Now, what I will do now is to right click on this, transform and fit. So it fit. Don't worry, it's still black. I'm going to bring something in that it will not be black again. So I'll go to there is a software we are using to create this. It's a browser based and also a software that is installed on the computer. So what I can do now is to go to that software, copy the link. Okay, I'm going to type it. So I'll just go back to my OBS. I'll open the browser, double click and open it. The URL, I'll just type HTTPS. I'll just type the address, the / what again. I have to go back and write. Sorry, I have to do this quickly. Okay, so if I click now, it will load the screen for me. It might take some time to load, but it will load. Now, if you are seeing now, it has loaded. The thing is that what you need to understand in this place is that I've created two scenes already. I have my presentation scene, I have my camera scene. And whatever they are seeing here is what anybody will see. So if I transit now, is the camera they are seeing. The same thing we are doing with our other system is the same thing I'm doing here right now. So the same setup I have here now on my presentation screen now, the same setup you are having that we are using to broadcast to you. That's what I mean. Discover that what you are seeing right now is a breaker. Like when I don't want them to see me, maybe I'm trying to clean my face, I'm trying to tuck in my shirt, I'm trying to pick something, I don't want you guys to see what I'm doing. All I need to do is to cover the screen with something so that nobody sees it. How do you create that? To create that quickly, what I'll need to do is simple. I'll go to the scene again. I'm going to name it breaker or anything, break filler or break, anything you can call it. I'll call it break filler because that's what you call it in video production. I'm going to move it to the top so that it'll be the first thing. I can even number it as 1, 2, 3 as the name may be. So I can rename it number it, but I don't want to worry about that now. So now, you now discover that if the source becomes blank because it's a new scene entirely, the source becomes blank because it's a new scene. So I'm going to create another, I'm going to bring in another object. Since I want it to be a breaker, that video you are seeing, this video you are seeing is a video that is installed on this computer right now. So all I need to do to bring that video in is to go to my source, look for media source. Since it's a video, it's not photo, it's not, I'm going to look for my media source. If I click my media source, I'm going to open my media source. This will pop up. So there are two buttons I'm going to check here, which is very important. They loop so that it doesn't stop when you finish playing. So you keep looping, you keep going round and round and round till infinity. Then I'm going to uncheck show nothing when the playback ends, so that it does not show blank. So I'll now uncheck this. Then the next thing I'll do now is to browse. When I browse, what I'll do now is to look for where the video is. Now, what you are normally advised is that you should have your video all in one location. Like my own now, I have it in live streaming folder, in my video folder. So any video I'm going to be using for my live stream always emanates from this particular folder. So I'll go to the video. I'm going to use the Ficus TV live. No, I'm going to use Ficus TV logo review. So when I open it, I OK it, you will not see anything. The reason be that you just added the scene and you need to do some other configuration. So what the first thing I will do is to stop it, then restart it, then to start showing. But you now discover that if the resolution of your screen is smaller than the resolution of the video you are bringing in, you discover that it will overlap. Like look at now, it's overlapping. So what I need to do, like the normal thing you normally do, is to right click on it, scroll down, look for transformation, and fit to screen. So it fits. So now I now have breaker scene, camera one scene, presentation scene. Are you seeing it? So I can switch between this scene by just clicking on it, and go to transition. I transit. I can create a shortcut for this transition so that I don't need to be carrying my mouse going to transition. We'll get to that one when we get to the settings quickly. So I want to show my breaker now. Just click on my breaker, transit. So my breaker. So with this now, nobody will be seeing what is happening. But right now, there is a sound on that breaker video. So if I don't want people to hear the sound, all I need to do is to go to my the speaker icon and mute it so that nobody will be hearing anything. Only thing they'll be seeing. But on our own video that is playing, discover that is a sound at the background. We call it a background sound. So that one was added customly, but it can also come with the video. Now, this is how to create different scenes. This is a very simple way of creating. So the same way you can bring in multiple cameras. So I can I can plug in 2 or 3 capture cards into the system. I can plug this. I can plug this capture card. I can bring this capture card. I can plug this other one into another port in the system, maybe somewhere here. So if I plug this into here, I have one capture card here, I have another capture card here, like what I told you yesterday, what we were doing on that system. So I need to plug in another camera here again. So I bring in another camera into this port now. So what I need to do for the we have camera 1 is coming into this place. We have camera 2 is coming into this place, coming from this place. Camera 1 is coming into this place. We have camera 2 coming into this place. So now I need to create another scene for this camera that is coming into this particular one. So to create that scene, and it's because it will not show, even though I plug in the camera now, it will not still show because one, I've not identified it on OBS yet. So for it to show, I'll go back to my scene again, add scene. I'm going to add something like camera 2, type camera 2, and OK it. So I'll move it so that it will be closer to the camera 1. So I can rename this so that it will be uniform. I'll name this as the first letter should be capital. camera. So I now have camera 1, camera 2. Now, but in camera 2 now, there is no source yet, if you can see. So I'm going to click on source. I'm going to add video capture device. It will identify it as 2. Please don't click anything here. Just leave it to create new. If you add, it's going to add to the other one. So I'm going to create new. It will pop up the same window that popped up yesterday. First thing it's going to show my webcam. So I'm going to go back to that device. Look for that the device. Click on it. It will scroll down. Look for this capture card. I'll look for this particular one, which the name is USB video. So by selecting this, it will show this because nothing is coming into it. So I select custom. I choose the resolution, the highest resolution that I can present. So I OK it. I go to this part now. Right click. Fit. So I have camera. I have brake filler. I have camera 1, I have camera 2, I have presentation. What I'm doing, I'm double clicking it so it transits for me. I double click it, transits for me. I double click it, transits for me. So breaker is here, camera 1 is here, camera 2. But there's nothing on camera 2 yet. So eventually I bring in another camera into the system like this. I bring in another camera. You discover that camera 1 has started, camera 2 has started showing. What you are seeing right now is on camera 2 because I don't have another camera to plug into this thing yet. So you now discover that we have camera 1 showing. So the same way we have camera 2 will show. So I go to my camera, I go to my brake filler. This thing I did is not right. I'm supposed to turn off the camera before I switch. So I go back here, plug it back where it was plugged into before. So if I go back to my camera 1, my video has started showing. So what eventually you are seeing right now is you have your camera 1, which is the one that is this one now. Go back to my video, which is this one now. Camera 2, which is camera 2. This one now. This camera 2. Go back to the presentation. This one that is showing blank now. That is showing this. I'm pointing. I'm supposed to be using mouse. This one that is here now, that is showing blank now. Go back to my video. Is this one. So if I bring in video, you see that where I switch the two, I switch the feed into it, it shows. That means it's working perfectly well. So what that means is that I can bring in 2 cameras into the system. I can have my presentation. This is for those of you that are going to be using this for your church services. So with this now as a church, with each small budget, this is just 15,000. This is a little bit pricey. This like, I think this right now should like 60 to 70,000. So, but you can get 2 of these. 2 of these, I think it's less than 15,000, so like 12,000 now. 12,000, or there are different types, 8 or 12,000. It's like 8,000, so you can get 2 of them, 16,000. Same thing, not really same thing. This quality is better anyway, but this can still give you something good. It's a church, right? You manage to, God open doors. Now, then your cameras. So maybe in your program, if you don't have camera, maybe in your program, instead of you going to bring somebody to do this job for you, all you need to do, just get this capture card, 16,000. Rent a camera, maybe 10,000 naira. 2 cameras, 20,000 naira. You already have a system. If you don't have, maybe get somebody that have a system. Do this configuration yourself, then go live. Let's go into other settings in OBS. Settings, let's go to settings. Now we are going to do some other settings. Now, if you click on the setting, this will pop up. Like this will pop up. You have general, you have stream, you have output, you have audio, you have video, you have hotkey, you have advanced. You don't need to understand everything for a start. So sometimes when you get this type of interface, people get discouraged. But trust me, you don't need to. That is the essence of this training. I'll point you to the things that you need to know. Like you have the language, the theme. That's because it's black. We are using theme. That's why it's black. If not, I wanted to change, but let me leave it so that you don't get confused. When you can open start dialog on startup. I don't want that. Automatically check for update, which is very important. Remember, I told you before that we are using a free and open source software. So because of the update, it's very important that you allow this to come on. But your system is not advanced. Our advice, you don't automatically update. So because sometimes you automatically update, your system might not be able to meet up the requirements for you to use the software again. So show confirmation dialog when starting, check that. Show confirmation dialog when stopping streaming. That means before you start streaming, it will tell you, do you want to stream or do you want to stop streaming? Show confirmation when stopping recording. Possibly you need to check that so that you alert you before you stop your recording, so that your hand not mistakenly go and stop the recording. Automatically record when streaming starts. You can turn it on. So keep recording. That one is automatically checked. Since you see automatically record, automatically start replay, blah blah blah. All those ones are not important. Now source alignment, that one you don't need to worry yourself. Projector. This projector, what it means is that if I'm projecting whatever you are seeing on the preview, this part, if I'm projecting this on another screen, so my mouse, if my mouse go to the projector, it should not show. So if I enable hide, where is the projector? Hide cursor over projector. So if my mouse go to the screen 2, it will not show. Make projector always on top. Show projector on exit. So I'll just leave everything. I don't need to worry about. So the preview and every other thing, we'll leave it. I'll just tell you the important one. Studio mode. This is another important one. Very important. Studio mode. Transit to scene when double click. You discover that before, let me go back. If I double click on this, if that thing is not set, if I double click on the presentation, it will not go to the presentation. If I double click on the camera, it will not go to the camera. If this particular button is not checked, if this particular radio button is not on, is it radio button or checkbox? If this checkbox is not on, transit to scene when double click. If it's not on, if it's off, if I go back and I double click now, it will not transit. What it means that you don't need to be using select and transit. You just double click to transit for you. Very important. Multi-view, this is not, you don't need to worry yourself about this. You can play with it. If you do anything wrong, reset the whole system. Now, we are done with general streaming. This is where your streaming comes in. I will talk about this one later. Let's just go through the other ones. Output, this is another important part. This output, very, very important. This is what I want you to do. First thing you need to do, the output mode should not be simple. Should be advanced. That is number one. Secondly, now this is another important part. You now discover that when we put it in advanced, we have streaming differently, we have recording differently, we have the audio differently, we have the replay buffer differently. We'll go back to the streaming again. This is another part. The audio track, the track 1 is checked. Forget about Twitch VOD track. That is not important for us now. The encoder is what the software is using to encode. There are two types of encoder. It might largely depend on your system. Like now, if I check my own have, if I click on my own have 3. You have NVIDIA NVEC H.264 new and QuickSync H.264. You now have X264. Now, these are the difference in case your own have it. If your own does not have it, you might be stuck with the X264. The X264 is your processor. That is, if you have a Core i3 series or Core i5 series, this is the processor. This is what you are going to see, X264. Now, if I'm using this, what this means, this is very important. I want you to pay attention to this. If I'm using X264 for my streaming, what it means is that I'm going to be relying largely on my processor for the streaming. Like for that other streaming, that other system, that is what we are using. We are using the processor to stream. Now, but if I have a very good computer, like this my computer now is very, very good. So I can actually choose which is the best. The NVIDIA card, which is the graphics card of this processor. That means it will shift the load from the processor onto the graphics card of the system. Now, computer system has two things that controls the load when it comes to processing. When you are doing anything that has to do with graphics, which is something we are working on now, remember this is a video stuff. As far as it has to do with video, it's being processed by two things. If your system has a graphics card, it's a different card entirely that's inserted in your computer. You can shift the load of the graphic, or you can share, let me not use the word shift. You can share the load of the graphic of the video you are working on between the graphics card and the processor. So what I just did now, the encoding should be done by the processor by changing this to NVIDIA NVEC H.264. What that means is that I've said, okay, NVIDIA should do the encoding for me instead of the processor. The advantage of this is this: the computer will not overheat. Your processor will not overprocess. And this is the advantage of this again. What this means is that if the processor max to 1000, like if you look at this down point now, it's showing 5.2. Look at this down. Follow my mouse. Look at this. So CPU is showing 5.8%. If this thing should get to 80 or 90, the system will start glitching, you start hanging, and that is not good when you are streaming. So that's why it's advisable to use a very good computer for your streaming. for your streaming, so that you can share the load between the graphics card and the processor. Very, very important. The reason why some people have problem in their streaming in their churches is because of this. Most times they just go and buy a computer without knowing that graphics card is one of the most important thing when it comes to video production or live streaming. So it's very important. So, but now, how do you go around it if you don't have the luxury of having a system that has these two? What you can do is very simple. But most systems could also have a graphics card, but he can't carry it. Like that other system we are using has only one graphics card. It doesn't have this. I don't want to go too technical. Now, graphics card has two types. There's the one that comes on the processor. The processor also have its own graphics processing memory. Why there is what we call a dedicated graphics card. A dedicated graphics card. So this my system now, the workstation I'm using has a memory for graphics card in the processor, and also have a dedicated graphics card separately. So I could share the streaming and the recording to the both. But the other system there, the other one we are using for this live streaming now, only have just a dedicated graphics card. It doesn't have any memory for graphics on the processor. This is a little bit technical, but you understand this. Now, the advantage of that system is this. I can't use NVIDIA for both streaming and recording. So what we did on that's why we're having glitch. I don't use that system for streaming that much. So we're having glitch, and I discovered that, okay, the problem I'm having that glitch was because the graphics card is only dedicated. There is no graphics memory on the system, on the board itself. So what I did, I now assigned the streaming. I have streamed on Facebook. I couldn't stream on Facebook because it was hanging. So I now assigned the streaming on Facebook to X264. I now assign the streaming to X, that is to the processor alone, because that one is a little bit, the streaming does not take much memory. So when I move to the recording, I can still choose my encoder. I can choose encoder for streaming, I can choose encoder for streaming, for recording. So when I look at this part now, almost the same thing you saw in the other part, but the encoder now, I go back to this and choose my NVIDIA. So when I choose NVIDIA, more option comes down. But as soon as I choose that, what I've done is that, look at what I've done. What I've done, I've assigned the streaming to encoder, to the processor, which is S264. I've assigned the recording to the graphics card, the dedicated graphics card on the system. That's exactly what we are using on the other system. So what this means is that the processor will be doing the streaming, while the dedicated graphics card on the system will be in the recording. That will balance the load on the computer for you not to overclock, for you not to overheat and the system start hanging. This is very important. This is very important. Most people, what they do is that they use the simple, do everything and start doing the work. Recording will be same as streaming, and the quality will not be good. Whatever they are doing will not be good. So since it's a professional training, you need to understand this. So you need to watch this over and over and over and over to be able to get a point eventually. But what you need to understand is that I've actually assigned my streaming to my graphics card, and I've assigned my recording to my I've assigned my streaming to my my processor. I've assigned my recording to my graphics card. So now there's another thing I want us to pay attention to. Now this one is also important. This part of this project is one of the most sensitive and most technical part. If you don't get it right, you might have issue with your stream. There's another thing that is the rate control and bitrate. This is one of the most important parts, especially when it comes to this country that our internet is very slow. Now, what that bitrate means is that is the amount of data you are pushing up. I wish I can zoom in. Okay, this is what I mean. Look at this part. Look at this. Bitrate. Look at it. Bitrate. Is by default it select 2500 kbps. That kbps means kilobits per second. That is the amount of data being pushed to the internet when you are streaming. Now this is very, very important. Now for this part, this is what you need to do. Now let me go back. Let me close this. Let me go back. Now, how do we sort that issue? Now, I'm going to give you a website. You need to write this down. There are two websites you can test the speed of the internet you are using. One of the websites is testmy.net. As simple as that. When you press enter, it loads the internet for you. I'm going to close the magnifier now. I just write it down. Very important too. So now, before you stream, you need to come to this website. Every time before you stream, before you go live, except you have streamed in that particular location over and 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 over. So you need to come to this particular. What you should be concerned about when you are streaming is your upload. That is what you should be concerned about. You are not downloading video to watch. So when you are streaming, you are using upload. You are uploading video. You are uploading video. So that means you are uploading video. That means you need to be concerned about the speed of your upload speed. So I'm going to click on the upload. It's going to open this for me. I'm going to test my upload speed. So when I click on test my upload speed, it loads the upload, it loads. Depending on the speed of your computer, it takes some time, but to give you a data which you can actually relate to what I was talking about before. Now it's showing me 2.9 Mbps. I'm going to retest again. Normally, what I normally do, I test like 3 or 4, 5 times to see the average. Now we have 7 point. That is MTN for you. It fluctuates. So now I'm going to be. This is not real. This is not real. This 7.6 is not real. I'm going to test it one more time. Remember, the first one it gave me was 2.6. Second time it gave me 7.6. But MTN, if MTN is good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad. It's not, there's no two ways about it. If MTN is bad, it's bad. If it's good, it's good. So while it's loading, let's just continue. Let's just talk more about some other thing while it's loading. Now, because I need to use, let's go back to the next one. Your CPU usage. This one other important one you need to pay attention to. Now, what very fast, ultra fast, super fast. The higher you go, the less CPU. Look at what they say. Higher is equals to less CPU. That means it will compress your video, because this is compression part and this encoding part to compress your video. So if you want it to be very, very sharp, you have to go down. But what that means is they're going to put much load on your processor. So normally what I would advise you just do fast or medium. Then the profile you choose high. The profile you choose high. Let me see whether the thing has finished loading. Still loading. So I'm going to go to the recording again. While I'm talking, we'll come back to that particular part. Now, the recording part, the standard is okay, but there's one part I want you to understand. This is where even me, while I was coming up in this field, I had a little issue to configure this part, because when you load advanced and you go to recording, it shows you something like this. You don't know where to put your bitrate. You don't know. You just know what is happening. You just be clicking type, custom, this. But this is where you go, encoder, that is where you go direct. Now, I'm going to choose my encoder. Remember, my system had a capability of 2 graphics cards. Has a 2 graphics card. One is on my processor, one is on a different graphics chip on the system. So I'm going to pick a different graphics card for my recording. So when I pick a different graphics card for my recording, different set of camera. Now, my recording, since I'm going to be recording on this system, I don't need to record the same bitrate I use in recording. I need to stream. So my bitrate for my recording might be a little bit higher. So I can just type 4,000 or 5,000, depending on how many of the data I need. But if going above 8,000 does not really make sense, because the capture card you are using, the USB 3.0, does not capture anything above 5,000. So if you are putting 8,000, does not really make any sense. So you can just put up 5,000, which is fine. The quality will be fine. The presets, I can put maximum quality. Profile is already high. GPU, don't touch anything here. There's another thing I want us to pay attention to, the audio track. The audio track one is selected. Remember, we can select different audio for our streaming and our video. Look at the streaming audio is track 1 is selected. So I want track 2 to select. So I'm going to go to the audio track. So I'm going to the track 1. What it means is that any video that is coming in should be compressed into 160 kbps. But I'll leave the track 1 because track 1 is what I'm using for my streaming. But since I'm going to record this video, I need a quality audio. So I'll go to track 2. No, first of all, I'll go to audio track. I'll deselect this, select track 2. So what I'll do now, go back to my audio, go to track 2, select this, and select the biggest one, apply it. Anything you do, just apply. Let's see whether our this thing has finished. So it's finished. Look at what I was telling you. It has dropped to 144 kbps. Before it was showing us 7.6. So I'll restart, I'll redo it again. So let's keep testing. So while we continue, now we go again. So now we have set for recording track 2. We have set our bitrate for our recording. The streaming we have not set yet. The reason why I've not set the bitrate for the streaming is because I'm waiting for the data to finish loading. Look at it, showing us 4.3 now. Now, to be on a safer side, for Nigeria, I advise you do 1,000 or 1,500 because you discovered that it went back to 144, it went up to 4.3, it went up to 7.6. So show me if I test again, I go back to 2.5 or 1,000. Now 4.3 means 4,300. If you show you 2.5, it means 2,500. If you show you 8.6, it means 8,600. In foreign countries that they have good internet, they could do even up to 50,000. Yeah, we are battling with 10,000. Like if it's showing me 10,000, it comes back to 5,000, comes back to 3,000. But this part of the world, MTN, the best MTN I've ever given me ever in the history of my life is 120 Mbps. And that 20 will never remain the same throughout. So you battle with 1,005. If the internet is very good and you can sacrifice, you can do 2.5 that is on the software. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to leave it at 1,005. I'm going to bring it down a little at 1,000, so 2,005. I'm going to bring it down to 1,500. I'm going to bring it down to, so that whatever happened to the internet, I should be able to accommodate it. This is very important. So if you leave it as a default, which is 2.5, if the internet falls below 2.5, what is going to mean? Your video will start cracking. You start dropping frames. But if your video did not crack, it did not, nothing happened. If your video did not crack, that means your internet is able to push the data which you have set. I hope you understand this part. So if you put it at 1, remember our streaming is 1.5, but our recording is 5,000. Why? Because we are not recording, we are recording into the computer. But streaming, we are using internet to push it up. So we need a smaller data. If I test again and it still give me good value, let me just test for the final time before we shut down this. Let's test for the final time. If it's good, it's good. So it's giving me 10.1. So MTN is a good day for MTN, 10.1. That means I can do 2.5. But trust me, to stream it with MTN throughout this entire training using 2,500, what that means is that it's going to drop the streaming. So I will advise you make sure you don't do above 1.5, or in a very good internet condition. Like right now, since MTN is a happy day for MTN, I can do 2,005, but it will be very risky. You have to put an eye on it to make sure it doesn't go beyond that. This part is one of the most important parts when you have to live stream. If you don't get this right, you're going to have issue. So the another part you need to pay attention to is the streaming key. But before we get to the streaming key, let's just tidy the other ones quickly. Audio. Now, I told you before that now this part of this is another important part. The general, simple, you don't need to touch the general. This general, the channel, you don't need to touch it. Don't touch anything there. It's okay. The global audio device. What it means is that global audio device is the general audio that you want the entire system, the entire OBS to see. This is one important part when you are live streaming for church, and maybe if you switch to your logo, maybe if the camera goes off and you switch to your brake filler. The advantage of this global audio is that if I say this mic now, I want to choose this mic as my general audio of the entire system. It's already plugged into the system, so the system will see it. So let me magnify it so that I'll be able to see. So if I go to my audio, my auxiliary audio, I click, I'll look for the audio. Look at it here, microphone USB 2.0 device. So when I pick it, I go to my apply, I apply it. What that means is this. Let me shut down the magnifier again. What that means is this. Let me go back. Now I picked the audio. I picked this audio. I've applied it. I've okayed it. What that means is, if you notice, look at this part. Look at this reading, right? Look at this part. Do I need to magnify it? I think everybody should be seeing it. Look at this part. The mic auxiliary, this down here. Follow my mouse. See that it's reading. The reason why it's reading is because the mic is connected. Now that means that I've brought in another. What this means is this. We have created different scenes. It's very easy to create different scenes. It's very easy, right? It's very easy. To do it is just to click this button, create a scene, rename it, create, rename, create, rename, create, rename. Then any scene you create, you must add source. Like our break filler is more like this video that is showing now. How do we add it? I'm repeating it because of people that are just joining now, so that we just catch. During the editing, we'll just remove this part. We have already. So when we create a break filler scene, we added a media source, which is what you are seeing there, media source. With this media source, we brought the video in, we searched for the video, brought it in. So for you to be able to see, that is why it's showing. Like the break filler you normally see when I don't want anything to show. Now, the advantage of this is this. The advantage of the universal audio is this. If it's on now, as it's on now, even though I switch to any of the scene, you still be seeing the audio. The audio will be following almost all the scenes. Look at in my presentation now, the mic auxiliary is still showing. If I enter camera 2, the mic will still be showing. The advantage of this is this. Go back to my video. The advantage of this is this. For churches that are using multiple capture cards and their presentation, so that if you are switching between the cameras, maybe I switch to camera 1 or camera 2, the advantage of this is this. If I'm using a universal global audio, the audio will be following all the feeds. So I'm getting my audio from my mixer now. Remember, the audio is coming from one mixer. All the audio, choir presentation, pastor preaching, whatever, testimony is coming from the mixer, right? You need to bring it into your laptop, then select it as the global audio. So that if you are switching between the scenes with their camera 1, camera 2, presentation, and break filler, they will still be hearing. So even though your battery should go off and you put your brake filler, let's assume you put your brake filler, go to my presentation, you put your brake filler, like your brake filler is showing. What will happen is this, they'll still be hearing a pastor talking while you are changing your battery. Like yesterday, our battery went off, we have to switch and be changing it, but we're still hearing me. So, but if you don't choose global audio, like the way I brought in this audio yesterday, those of you that joined yesterday, I brought in the audio like this yesterday. What is going to happen is only that particular profile that will have that audio. But the global audio now we have that it will be added to all the profile and all the sources. That is what it means. This is very important for people that are going to be live streaming for churches. Another way you can do it is that you add the audio, every audio in every source, every scene, but that is cumbersome. Just add it as a global audio. Go to your settings, select your global audio, go to your audio, select your global mic auxiliary. You can use the first one, mic auxiliary, USB, apply it. When you apply it, it affects the whole, because it's called global audio device. That is that. The next thing we'll look at, which is important also, is the meter. No, meter is not important. Advanced. This advanced monitoring is another important part, the advanced monitoring device. What the advanced monitoring device does is that if I want to hear myself, I want to hear what is playing, like right now, I don't know that you can hear. I'm going to turn on this media, turn this on. Please listen to the audio. I hope it's clear. I'm going to turn this on. If I turn this on, let me turn this off first. You could hear the global audio. You could hear the global audio. You could hear the global audio. Now, what that means is that if I want to hear the global audio, if I want to hear this audio now, I go to look at it though. It's just that there is interference. This is important. This is important. I right click on the. If I turn it on, it will have interference. But this is what I want you to understand. And I click on this, go to advanced, and look for the mic auxiliary, because this is what I'm working with. Look at it, mic auxiliary here. I look for it. It normally to be showing monitor off. I'm going to turn it monitor and output so that I'll be able to hear it. The advantage of it is that I can plug my earpiece. The advantage is that I can hear whatever I'm bringing out. You need to understand this. That is the advantage of the advanced audio there. So by default, you choose the default speaker. Now, we'll talk about using OBS with Zoom. Using OBS with Zoom, but I just felt to just finish everything about OBS. Every other thing here, you might not need to touch it again. Don't need to touch anything. Let's go to our next part. The video, the canvas. Remember I told you the resolution of this system is 1600 by 900. 1600 by 900. The resolution of this my system. If your system is full HD, to show you 1920 by 1080. If it's not full, it's different canvas to show you. But output is showing me 1280 by 720. Now, if you're a video editor, you'll be able to understand this number. These are video resolutions. These are video resolution for videos. So anything HD is from these numbers. Anything below 1000 is no more HD. Let me just use a layman's language. Anything that is below 1000. Now, right now, if I'm seeing something like 960, maybe I put something like this now. So this is no more HD. 960 by 540. Even this self is not fully HD. Even this 10, but anything from this 1200 or 1280 is the standard HD. 1280 by 720 is the standard HD. By default, that is what it will choose for you, except your system is lower. Common FPS value, don't change it. 30 frames per second is good because of your live streaming, because of the chopping of the video. Some of the frame rate will be chopped while you're streaming, so you leave it like that. Let's go to the hotkey. Hotkey is another important thing you need to understand in OBS, which is very important. Like what we are using there is the hotkey. Now, I need to set hotkey for my transition. I need to set hotkey for my camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 3, or presentation, anything. Normally, I use my number keys. That is, if you're using a full keyboard, the left-hand side of your keyboard, the right-hand side of the keyboard, or you can use any key. But the problem of it is that if you touch that key during your live stream, it's going to perform the transition that's supposed to take place. So normally what I use for my transition, let me just, you figure it out how to pick your best short keys. T for transition, I'm just saying, no, don't go and use T. If you press T while you are working, it will be transiting for you. But I'm just saying you can use T just for reference purposes. Because if you put T and you want to type something while you are streaming, as soon as you type, maybe you want to type traditional, as soon as you type T, it transits. When you reach the tradition, I know there are two T's in traditional. So when you type again, so you just be transiting. You don't know. They will say, what is going on? You understand? That is what I mean. So you must choose a unique key so that when you click, like normally what I use my keyboard is full keyboard. Or you can use the function key. Those keys are the top. But not the one that is that you press that will activate something on your computer. So that you just click and nothing will happen. But using numbers or you can use numbers, because sometimes you don't press numbers often as when you are typing. So you just use a unique key so that you will not, when you are typing, you not start pressing. That is that. Then camera 1, you need to choose a unique key. I'm going to be using number. Switch to scene, I'm going to press 1. Normally I don't use this, so use it with digression. Camera 2, I press 2. Presentation, I can even press P for presentation. So what that means is that if I apply an OK, watch my screen now. Watch my screen. So if I press, what's my, okay, brake filler, I've not set brake filler. So I'm going to go to brake filler. Now what I'm doing is this. Look, those of you that are joining now, you might get confused. My scenes, we have brake filler, we have camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. This is where I am now. Let me show you. Look at this part. Follow my mouse. Look at this part. We have the scenes, we have brake filler, camera 1, camera 2, camera presentation. I will mean. So now I'm setting the hotkey for those alphabets. I'm setting the hotkeys for them. So I go to my hotkeys, transition, I put my T, then camera 1, I put 1, camera 2, I put 2, presentation, I put 2, breaker, I put B. I'm just using the first letter. I can't put C for camera because we have 2 cameras there. So, okay, this is what is going to happen. If I want brake filler to show, what do I need to press? B. So if I press B, brake filler becomes active on the preview because I'm using a studio mode. This is very important. If I'm in the simple mode, this mode now, if I press B, it shows. If I press 1, camera 1 show. If I press 2, camera 2 show. But this is not advisable. You need to preview what you want to show before you show it. If not, you have issue. That's why it's good to go to studio mode so that you see it first. So I press B, my brake filler scene comes up for me to check it first before I transit. Are you with me? If you don't check it first, you just transit. That's why some people say, hey, what did this guy put? This guy don't go put something you're not supposed to put. Why? Because they didn't preview it, especially in churches. But most times, this one I just show you that the basic hotkey you need to set so that it starts going live. So the advanced, you don't need to do much. Your priority needs to be very high. Process priority needs to be very, very high. Let me be zooming in this part. The process priority needs to be very, very high. Then another part again, this one you don't need to touch anything. Don't need to touch anything. Don't need to touch anything here. So we'll okay it. We'll okay it. So when you okay it, you go back to your OBS. Now you are ready. You are not ready to stream yet, too, but the system is set for streaming. So I'll go back to my setting again. We're going to go back to our streaming. This is where we start streaming to any of the platforms. This is important. This is where we start streaming to any of the platform. This is where we start streaming to any of the platform. So you can choose any services that you want, either Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, we stream, Twitter, show all. You can show all, they'll show you more. So by default, not by default. For this example, we're going to stream to Facebook. So I'm going to choose Facebook. I'm going to show you how to stream to Facebook right now. So first of all, I need to choose Facebook. To stream to Facebook, you need 2 things. One thing, you need the streaming key. That you remember that this time around we are doing it as a, when you are using this software we are using now, you have told Facebook, you have told, if you are streaming on Facebook, you are telling Facebook that you know what you are doing. That is what you, if I get to Facebook now, tell Facebook, don't use my camera, don't use my, when we go there you see it, either you say pick camera, webcam, or pick encoder on different software. I'll show you. So when you are using OBS and you want to stream to Facebook, they will assume you already know what you are doing. They will not control your bitrate for you. Remember, that is the reason why we set bitrate. They will not control it for you. They will not control your stream key for you. The only thing they will do is that copyright and the rest. They will control your copyright. If you post anything that is not right, they will block your video. But whatever you are pushing up is all left to you. If you're streaming, if you're remember we'll talk about output that time. If your bitrate, this bitrate that is here, is too high, and your internet cannot carry it, to crack on Facebook, that is not the fault of Facebook, it's your own fault. So let's go back to the streaming. So we are going to go to Facebook now. So I'm going to use my account. So let's assume I want to stream to my personal account. You are seeing my page now. I'm on Facebook right now. So I'm going to click on live video. Are you with me? Normally on your phone you can do the same, right? But on your phone you will not see this, what you are seeing right now. Are you with me? So on your phone you can't see what you are seeing right now, because phone, they assume that you are not going to set your streaming key, you're not going to set your encoder is being done by Facebook, encoding is being done by Facebook, the capturing is being done by your phone, your whatever, everything is being done by just your phone and Facebook. So but this one now is being done by OBS and Facebook. But more of you, Facebook will just assist you. So I'm going to click select the first one. No, I'm not creating an event. I won't create event now. Now this is the part I was telling you. Select a video source. I think it's clear enough now. Some of you are watching on phone, it might not be that clear enough. Select a video source. So I can choose my webcam. If I click on webcam, it will activate my webcam for me. But it's not going to activate the webcam because I'm already using the webcam on OBS. So the one we choose is streaming software. What that means is that I have a software on my computer that I need to stream with. So OBS is a streaming software, right? So we are open to it now, and we are going back to OBS. Now, the other thing, we don't need any other thing to be enabled yet. We don't need another thing to be enabled. We'll just leave the other things like that. Then we'll copy. This is what you're going to copy, your stream key. Remember, OBS is requesting for stream key. OBS is requesting for stream key. So I go back to this, copy the stream key. So I'm going to paste it here. So if I apply and I okay it, that means I'm ready to stream. But I will not stream yet. So I'll go back to OBS like the normal post you normally do. You type the title of the stream, or you type anything you like. Let's say test streaming, whatever. Just type anything. Then description, you type your description. Set up live stream. Test streaming. Set up live stream. So when I'm done with this, if you don't type this, Facebook will not allow you to stream. Now you see, discover that this left hand side is showing go live, but it's not active. Video source is required. You are not getting any video source because I've not started streaming. Let me put my break filler so that in case I stream. So in case I stream, it will not start streaming so I want this to be streaming. So I go to my break filler. So I can just hit start streaming. It shows me, remember I did all the setting before. I press yes. Remember I say if you start streaming to start recording. The recording has started also, so I'm going to stop it. I don't want to record. So it has started streaming already. So if I go back to this now, the video source is enabled and your go live is enabled. So I can hit go live. Now I want to show you something quickly as I go live. I want to show you what that thing I mean when you started pushing too much data that your internet cannot carry. Right now, this is how you know whether your streaming is doing well. Look at this downside, this down. Let me magnify it. This down part, this down. This is the down part. This is where you check. Number one thing you need to check is that this thing is green. That means you are good. Remember what green means? It's good. Yellow is that, yes, there is a little bit shaky. But then when it's become red, know that you're in trouble. So your recording, nothing is recording. CPU is 18.3 because you are using, so if I'm using my card for all, the CPU will not be up to 10 itself. So the live, it's been live for 1 minute, 10 seconds. Then this is another important part. If people are watching your video and they are not having a good experience, this is where you know. If the percentage, this percentage that is here started increasing, maybe start increasing 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, what is going to happen is that you are dropping frame. And what is going to happen when it starts increasing to 10, 15, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200, that means the video will almost be unwatchable. Now, I'm going to show you vivid example how that can happen. This is what I'm going to, since it's not a real life event. So I'm going to go to my setting. I'm going to push my bit rate. I'm going to go to my output, go to the stream. I'm going to push my bit rate to like 12,000. So I'm going to type 12. Is it 12,000, right? So I'm going to apply it. Let's see what is going to happen. Watch here now. Watch here. Watch what is going to happen now. Watch what is going to happen now. Just start watching. The internet is still doing well. It's still pushing 12,000 kbps. But the time is going to come, it's still pushing. The time is going to come, you start seeing it to start dropping frame. Is it 12,000 I type? Something is on. Optimizing is on. Okay, I know what is happening. I know what is happening. Okay. There's something I need to do. Now, let's see this. Let's see this thing here. This is what is happening. This is very important. I think this is very good. OBS have really improved. Now, look at this part here. What did it say? Ignore streaming service setting recommendation. What that means is that even though I'm pushing 12,000, OBS is going to compress that 12,000 or 20,000 and bring it to 4,000 maximum video bitrate. So if I check this, what it means is that I can't even check it because I've already started streaming. But I'm going to check it. I'm going to stop the streaming. Now MTN is so good now that even at 4,000, is doing extremely well. That is MTN for you. Sometimes they can be very generous. But a time is going to come, even 1,000, it will be struggling. But let me end the stream. Let me stop the stream first. I'm going to stop the stream. Let me close the magnifier first. Go to my, let me end stream. I'm going to stream again. But this time, okay, I've not even stopped. Stop. But this time around, I'm going to push the data up. I'm going to go to the streaming. I'm going to ignore this. It's a warning. Ignoring service limitation may result to degrading streaming quality or prevent you from streaming. So I'm going to type like output 20,000 is too much. I'm going to type like 12,000. So I'm going to go back again. I have to enable the stream. I have to start streaming again. So I'm going to go back to the page again. If you are using page or a personal page, I needed to start streaming. So I'm going to go live again. The same setting, the same everything. So I'm going to try to stream again. I'm going to stream. Let's watch the magic. This is what I'm talking about. You are seeing it now. Let me go. You are seeing it now. It's still showing green. MTN is pushing, is doing well today. It's on a good day, but you discover that it's losing frame. You discover that no matter, I'm pushing, I think I'm pushing 12,000. It's still losing frame. Now, this is not good when you're streaming. As it's dropping, as the number is increasing. So let's assume, let me go and see whether I can push it to 20,000. Whether there will be an issue. I'm just doing this, so when you're live, you don't need to do this. Okay, the magnifier settings. Are you seeing the magnifier? No, I need to remove it so that I will not see. So I need to go to the stream. No, go to the outputs. I'm going to push this to 20,000. So come down. Okay, let me come down and see. MTN is still performing well, though. Can you imagine? Now, but you see that it's dropping frame. If I leave this thing on for the next 5 minutes, two things going to happen. Either my data will finish or MTN will start disappointing because I'm pushing almost 20,000 kbps. That is close to, although it's not the same thing with megabytes, but that is close to, divide it by 8. That is close to like, by 5 is 4. That's close to like 5 to 6 MB per second. Per second, no. Every second I'm pushing 6 MB, like the data that you normally use. That's what is happening now. By division, there's a math behind this, but the math part, I don't want to start boring that. But what is happening now, MTN is doing so well that even at this bit, at this higher, but this is the problem. This number that is showing here, look at my mouse, this number that is showing 2.2, it's not right. You're supposed to have 000. If I allow this thing to run for the next couple of minutes, you discover that it will start dropping drastically. This number will start going up, and you start seeing yellow. So MTN is doing so well that even at 20 Mbps, or 20,000 Mbps, it's still able to push that data. If I switch to any of the maybe mobile phone device, maybe Glow is here and I'm using Glow, this will not even work. But let me just stop it because